Are video games art? Now there's a question I find suspicious. Short people don't ask me if I think they're tall. Tall people don't ask me if I think they're tall, because they know, so they don't need my thoughts on the matter. But the in-betweeners, the 5'9", 5'10", 5'11" manlets, they're the ones that feel the need to round up or get a second opinion. Hearing this in 2026, it doesn't feel like you're asking, are video games art, yes or no? But rather, are video games art now? How about now? How about now?
Did you think that was good? Tell me I'm good. Tell me it was good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm good. Tell me that was good. Tell me I'm 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 good. Thank you. Is it that hard?
Oh, what is happening?
It comes off as a little attention-seeking. Or maybe like you're seeking permission. Are video games art now? Please? I think it's about time to let go of these insecurities, or at least get some new ones. Because this dirty pair of underwear was already sniffed out like 20 years ago. Why are gamers so intensely concerned anyway that games be defined as art, wrote film critic Roger Ebert. Why aren't gamers content to play their games and simply enjoy themselves? They have my blessing, not that they care. Do they require validation? In defending their gaming against parents, spouses, children, partners, coworkers, or other critics, do they want to be able to look up from the screen and explain, I'm studying a great form of art? Then let him say it if it makes him happy. And he was right. Why do gamers care specifically about a film critic's opinions about video games? I don't care about Jeff Gordon's opinion on food. I don't care for what Gordon Ramsay has to say about NASCAR. These are not one-to-one. But even if you discard outside opinions, there wasn't that much support on the inside either. There were game developers at this time revered as capital A artists who also didn't think video games were art. Everyone's video game friend Kojima of Metal Gear and Death Stranding fame saw video games as more of a service. To him, video games were like a museum that had pieces of art in it. But the museum itself was not art. Video game developers could curate the space and choose how to display the art, but they were not artists. Miyamoto, Daddy Mario, Zelda, Donkey Kong, Star Fox, Pikmin views video games as products, and that's why he makes the big bucks. I think it's understandable why video games need a little more validation than other art. Outsiders didn't love them. Mommy and daddy didn't love them. Video games grew up without a sense of identity and low self-esteem issues. The question, are video games art, really means, are video games art now? But should really be, are video games art how? Because you can say, yes, video games are art. And that's it. The conversation dies right there. What are the different schools? What are the techniques? What are the prominent styles in their transitions? Where are the masters? How we talk about games as a form of art is lacking. We can talk about games relative to their financial success, their popularity, their technical prowess, or as entertainment, but we don't have the words to describe artistic depth. The words that we do have are on loan from other art media, which then reinforces the kind of games that are made. Games that are made to make money, games that are made to be popular, games that are made to show off tech, games that are made to take up your time. Because evidently these are the only ways to get some respect around here.
What I ever did, I did to make you proud! Tell me how proud you are, Shifu! Tell me! Tell me!
Now this isn't to say that we've never tried to critique games as art. There have been plenty of attempts. One in particular sticks out to me as most disastrous, with the ramifications still coursing through the industry. You may have heard of the term ludonarrative dissonance. Simply put, this is when the story of a game and the story of the gameplay of a game contradict each other. Clint Hawking coined the term when he critiqued BioShock for a problem that it didn't even have. See, before BioShock, games were wet or games were dry. Sometimes there was dry on top of the wet, but never before had anyone put the dry under the wet. Critics' heads exploded, people died, it was a whole thing. But one developer, Clint Hawking, didn't buy into any of this. The story was wet, but the gameplay was dry. Ludonarrative dissonance, he blogged. He didn't really complain that the game was wet but dry. But I am using that as an example because he might as well have. His real complaint was that the game's narrative was about free will, but the gameplay didn't give you any. The game's story says, help yourself. The gameplay story says, help this guy specifically. That's the dissonance I am talking about, and it is disturbing, wrote Clint. Initially, I was going to say Clintoris had a childish misinterpretation of BioShock, but I think even a child can understand being lied to. Or that sometimes things just don't go as planned. Because yes, you crash land in Rapture, you watch a little movie reel about the making of Rapture as an Ayn Rand utopia where your sweat belongs to you and you alone to do with what you want. But when you actually get there, the whole place is falling apart. People are killing each other left and right. The only person helping you is a strange man on the radio, and the guy who's responsible for all of this is threatening you. There is a major plot twist that explains the lack of free will. But even after that's resolved, Clint was even more upset that you still couldn't just do whatever you wanted. But this once again glosses over all the themes of the game. The BioShock critique of objectivism. Who actually has free will in a society that doesn't protect it? Is a man really entitled to the sweat from his brow if he can't defend it? And the beautiful thing is that Clint's misunderstanding of Rapture is a valid part of BioShock, the video game, as art. Because Clint represents the kind of person that buys into objectivism and wonders when are they going to hand out the free will? I was told there was free will here. And once faced with the pitfalls of objectivism, he goes, well, you see, that wasn't true objectivism. True nothing has never been tried before. It's not that he tripped over basic media literacy. It's that video games struggle to be art, held back by narrative and tech contradictions. But I don't want to be a you didn't get it Eugene. As I said earlier, a video game is many things, depending on if we're talking about money, popularity, entertainment, technical achievement, or art. And I don't think any one of those categories should excuse or justify the other. But for the sake of discussing video games as art, I do think there is a minimum level of getting the point. But it can be easy to focus too hard on technical limitations. Take Elden Ring, for example. I am killing the ancients of prophecy, and yet I am consistently impeded by chest-high or head-high walls. I'm sure I've got the grip strength. In this instance, the story being told by the narrative and the story being told by the gameplay don't quite match up. And in this instance, I do think we have to come face to face with the idea that a game was designed as more of a service or a product. Or a mysterious third thing. I believe video games, as art, rely on a certain level of drift compatibility with the player. That's a term I'm borrowing here from Pacific Rim.
Neural handshake initiated.
The Drift. Jaeger tech. Based on DARPA jet fighter neural systems. Two pilots mind-melding through memories with the body of a giant machine. The deeper the bond, the better you fight.
Human life has a beginning and an end, and an in-between where we do what we can. Art to me is a snapshot of the artist during their in-between. Books, films, paintings, they invite you to look at that snapshot. You are the witness, you are the spectator, you are the audience. Whereas video games, through interactivity, invite you to take a snapshot of yourself within a snapshot of someone else. You are still yourself and two separate consciences, but there is something else between the two of you during this neural handshake. That's the answer I've come up with for the question, are video games art? How? Through this. A video game as art is the merging of two in-betweens. Who the creator was when they made the video game, and who you were when you played it. While playing, I never considered that I couldn't get over some of the walls in Elden Ring, because I never tried. I was taking in the vistas and looking for things to murder. In these kind of games, I go out of my way to find the path of most resistance so I can gain more souls or loot and see pretty things. And this playstyle of mine, coincidentally, gels pretty well with the story. The character in the game is the Tarnished, exiled from their homeland. I am me. Between us is the righteous hand of God and an appreciation for a good view. I also play with low intelligence or wisdom builds, so it's not completely out of character for me to not consider the idea of stepping over walls. I'm not excusing the walls, because you're right, it is strange. But it's stranger still how I managed to play the entire game without considering it even once. That moment there is the video games as art for me. That's what I find interesting. That's what I'm looking for the words for. It's something beyond, did it make money? Was it popular? Was it fun? It's, where did your soul go, I guess? Counter to this example, I am the worst part of Skyrim. As much as I try, Todd Howard and I are just not compatible. I like thinking about the game. I like thinking about how much better my life would be if I could just love Skyrim, but I don't like playing it at all. There is a story being told there. I am the Chosen One's executive dysfunction. I get bogged down and burnt out within hours of being released. The game's not for me is an important phrase to foster because no critic exists that can relate to every piece of art. That doesn't disqualify the art or default it to ludonarrative dissonance. And if it does, it's not exactly a bad thing. Hellblade is completely founded on ludonarrative dissonance. The story is of a woman struggling with psychosis. She's seeing things and hearing things and fighting with her demons. Meanwhile, I'm playing perspective-based puzzle games and light hack and slash. She's having a horrible time, I'm having a great time. But if you don't approach with this idea that a contradiction is a natural fail point of video games, you can see something else. Merging the two experiences, her horrible time, my good time, gives you a metaphor for the fighting spirit, the will to keep moving even when you're going through hell. The contradiction does not undermine video games as art. In this instance, it makes the case for them. And it makes it in a way that only video games can. That's the mindset that I think needs to be encouraged. We shouldn't bother with the question, are video games art, yes or no? And we shouldn't wait for validation or permission with the question, are video games art now? We need to explore the medium and expand the language to answer the question, are video games art, how? And to answer how, we need to answer who. How does who I am present itself in the game? How does that interact with the game and get sent back to me? Now, at times it can be a little abstract. Mario moves to the right of the screen because he's determined to rescue his princess. I move to the right because I'm curious to see what's just out of sight. Together, this is classic American military recruitment strategies in the 70s. Women in a view and you'll invade Cambodia without question. Maybe the curtains were a little too blue this time.